The Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. So welcome back to both of you. And Charlotte, you've picked out the front page of the Daily Express to kick us off, and we just ought to warn viewers that the focus of this front page is about suicide, just to warn everyone that we're about to talk about that. And this is Prince William talking to a woman who lost her husband.
She lost her husband and her baby. So her baby son tragically died, and then her husband committed suicide. So it's the most tragic story you can imagine. And William spoke to her about it because he was donating £1 million towards national suicide prevention. And for me, this was the moment where I realised Prince William is going to be the most amazing king, because he did have to hold back tears. It was incredibly authentic. I mean, I have to say, it's sort of Meghan and Harry, eat your heart out. This is what true authenticity looks like. He had to stop the interview and just calm himself because he felt so affected by her. And she kind of comforted him, and it was a really touching moment. And I just realised then, this man has got so much Diana in him. He's going to make a brilliant king, and no wonder it's on the front page of the Express. And the video went everywhere yesterday. And I think Sky News interviewed Rhiannon.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, we maybe now is quite a good time to hear from her. This is Rhiannon, the woman you were talking about there, talking to Jonathan Samuels last night. Let's have a little listen.
I was surprised to see him so emotional. I wasn't surprised to see that he found it difficult. As I said, I've spoken to him before about difficult things. I've seen him speaking to other people as well. He genuinely cares. But I was quite surprised. But also, I didn't really like upsetting him. He's been through a lot himself. You know, he's a human at the end of the day. So actually, I was concerned that I had caused that upset, but we did carry on, and it is a difficult subject, and being upset about it is okay, and I think that hopefully will show people that it's okay to talk about it. So I think all we can do is raise awareness of it, because some people are naturally going to find it going to find it difficult to talk, and I think, you know, a lot of people who sadly take their own lives, people don't know it's coming. That's what's so difficult. But actually just making people aware, the communities, you know, across the communities, that sadly people can take their own lives if they're facing difficult times. But let's talk about it so people are aware, and those who are struggling know that it's important to talk about it. And actually, you know, please don't go through with it, and talk to other people and make sure you feel okay.
And so this is where the royal family can really make a difference. Prince William and Prince Harry have done a lot to raise the issue of mental health, haven't they? And people perhaps do listen when famous people in the public eye do speak.
Yeah, and I think there's something very symbolic, actually, about the royal family talking about mental health, because it is an institution that's always been seen as very kind of stoic and quite resigned, actually, when it comes to emotions. In a way, it's almost very British, you know, that kind of stiff upper lip thing. And I think that's why it's very inspiring and important to see the royal family taking a lead on this, and the next generation of royals saying, actually, we can express our emotions, I can express empathy and compassion, I can tear up during an interview, and I can talk about difficult subjects like mental health, and I think that is really important.
Let's move on to front page of the Daily Telegraph, and their lead story focuses on fat jabs, and they have got some extraordinary statistics in here about the number of us who are using them now.
Yes, so the Telegraph has got data which it says hasn't been seen publicly yet, showing that sales of jabs like Mounjaro and Wegovy, these fat loss jabs, have reached 2.5 million in July, up 7-fold from the year before. They say now that 1 in 20 adults in Britain are using the drugs, even though they're rarely available on the NHS, and a lot of this, of course, is private prescriptions. Private pharmacies are now charging as much as £389 a month for the jabs. Previously, they were available for less than £200, but we know that there was that when there were concerns over the summer about from Donald Trump about he was saying the UK was kind of freeloading on the US drug market. People panicked about the price rising, and there's some concerns that might have meant that people were stocking up on these weight loss jabs. But I think
the prices did go up as well,
and they did go up,
yeah,
yes,
for private users. Yeah,
but I think this shows how actually how much people in the UK are turning to these drugs as a form of weight control. We know that the Health Secretary has said he wants to make Ozempic-style drugs more available on the NHS. But, of course, there are concerns about, you know, the price of this, how much it will cost the NHS, how available it will be.
Although longer term, they're saying it could save the NHS because it will protect against certain diseases that are affected by weight gain.
Because obesity is often comorbidity, it often precludes other kind of illnesses, especially mental health illnesses as well. So it's just really interesting. This has just really seized the UK drugs market. And I think, you know, cultural conversations as well. People are talking a lot now about weight loss jabs. People know people who are on them.
Well, yes. I mean, people talk a lot about it in generalities. I don't know many people who've said to me, I am taking them. I don't know, is there a stigma around it at all? People don't want people to know that they're taking them? What's your experience?
In my experience, people totally fib about it, I have to say, and I'm always really surprised. You know, I've got friends who have been basically a bit overweight their whole lives, have tried every diet, and I've spoken, you know how you gossip with your friends, what diet are you on? And then suddenly they lose lots of weight, but they're saying, oh, no, it's just another one of my diets. And you have to think, well, hold on, why did none of the other ones work? What really amazes me about, and it's only just dawning on me now that we're about a year or so into the Mounjaro revolution, the Ozempic revolution, is that you really do have to be on them for life. So what I am noticing with my friends is the moment they stop taking it, they gain the weight back and more, like all diets, I suppose. But they also lose that mind-body connection, so they're much less mindful in their eating, and they can't manage their portion control as well. That's just anecdotal.
Well, that's interesting. I was going to say, I read an article recently that said the reverse, that someone was on it for a few months and it reset their mind. And,
I guess it can be good for turning off food noise if that's something that you have. You know,
that was a phrase
if
that
you think about
this
food a
person
lot,
used, yeah.
and then you realise you actually don't need to think about it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Mixed success, I'm sure, for different
and we are
people.
going to hear a lot more about it, even if it's not directly from our friends.
Yes, yes.
Let's move to Charlotte. Another story actually on that front page about passport wait times.
Yeah, there's a prediction that there could be up to 4-hour delays because when you go to the EU now, especially from Britain, you'll have to have your fingerprints taken and additional security checks, which will last for 3 years. But as you're going through the gates in the next few weeks, it will delay you because you've got to provide a lot more documentation. And France is being especially, I'd say, draconian or giving extra checks. But I found it very interesting that Spain isn't. So Spain's trialling this on a very obscure route to Malaga because they are obviously very conscious about their tourism and don't want to cause any delays. And you'd be surprised how many people are still going on holiday at this time of year, just desperate to catch one last bit of sun before the Christmas build-up. But it's obviously a good time to unroll this because the main summer is over. But I'd be interested to see what the delays are like, or if we'll be seeing headlines next week with sort of huge queues at airports in Europe.
Yeah, it's fingerprints and facial recognition, I think, are the extra.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
The extra test. But I think, is it right that you only have to do it once every 3 years or something?
Yes, it lasts for 3 years, and then you've got to do it again.
Let's move on, Zoe. There's a Times story, it's not their main story, but it is on the front page, and the headline is Ministers fear PM's security advisor is too close to China. So what are they saying here?
Yeah, so this is about Keir Starmer's National Security Advisor, Jonathan Powell, who has been facing mounting scrutiny over his relationship with Beijing. So before he entered number 10, he'd visited China quite a few times, he'd met with the most senior diplomat, and he's been pushing for Britain to enhance its relationship with Beijing. Now, it should be said, this isn't, although this particular article is reporting of rifts in the cabinet because of Powell's position, one cabinet minister saying Powell's too soft on China, bringing up security concerns, this isn't an isolated view. We know that Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, has been pushing for closer economic ties with Beijing. She sees Chinese investment as actually key to unlocking growth in the UK. Obviously, she went to Beijing not that long ago. The relationship with China, if you include Hong Kong, it's Britain's third largest trading partner. So clearly there are those economic ties there. If she isn't wanting to put up taxes, then really she needs investment. And I think she sees China as that. But of course, there are the security concerns. And we just saw that this week back in the news with the collapse of the China spy case that had been dogging the headlines for quite some time. There are concerns about what that that relationship will mean in terms of our national security. And it's trying to balance the two. And I think what this really is, this was a rift that was seen in the Tory government, we're seeing it in the Labour government as well. It is the more hawkish side who are worried about security versus those who just want to push for economic growth.
Really interesting debate, and the timing interesting as well, given that front page of the Financial Times that we've also been talking about, and the growing trade tensions between the US and China after China's increased restrictions on its rare earth minerals exports, Donald Trump coming down like a ton of bricks on that. Let's just reflect on the Sun's front page, shall we? This is something that we covered yesterday. It was Ricky Hatton's funeral and the most extraordinary turnout from people in Manchester.
The great and the good of Manchester came out, and not least Liam Gallagher, who kissed his fingers and then put his hands, I think, close to his bright blue coffin. And it's on the headlines of, it's on the front pages of a lot of the red tops today, because, you know, he was a hero, and it was such an amazing kind of funeral cortege going past the, I think it was the Cheddar Cheese and Cheddar Cheese pub and all his favourite spots. And also, I thought it's very interesting that his daughter said in the eulogy, "Why didn't you reach out about how you felt, Dad?" And it kind of ties into what the William story, which is just men talking about their mental health and what a tragedy it was that men, perhaps even especially people like sportsmen and stuff, they find it very difficult to talk about their feelings. And it's well documented he had difficulties after he left the sport of boxing.
Just to cut in, because I wanted to alert people to the Samaritans number there, because we have discussed the issue a fair bit. Good to see you both. Back in the next hour. Thanks for now. Thank you.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered.